Hello. We are urban hackers. Our project was inspired by data provided and compiled by Smart Cities Insights. We believe that the built environment inspires, actually shapes individual and communities. We also know that the built environment is shaped by decisions made by and designs. Let me start again, sorry. We believe that the built environment shapes individuals and communities. We also know that the decisions and designs that influence the built environment come from metrics such as environment, space, etc. Human behavior measures and metrics have yet to feature in the conversation in ways that allow for social criteria to lead the decision-making process. Essentially, I think the idea is that if you can visualize and social metrics can actually present themselves in our design tools in a better way, we can derive the relations and understandings between social metrics and other dynamic factors of the environment, etc. Draw conclusions that are otherwise hard to find in human behavior, so that it can actually influence the decision-making process, bring some sort of humanity in the vectors of change in our built environment.
Yeah. All right, so just going to tell you a bit about how we came about this problem statement and how we approached it. So as mentioned by Nihat here, was that we essentially got a lot of data, a vast amount of data available related to human behavior, basically. So we went through kind of a review period, checking the data and assessing and analyzing the data. Then we, let's say, took that information and that knowledge, and then we processed the data and made some assumptions based on how we see this going into the future. And then lastly, or kind of in parallel, we started working on this prototyping of a interactive visualization model that could take this data and actually present it in a nice way. Yeah. So a bit about the existing data here. So as mentioned, Smart City Insights, kind of with Peter here, provided a lot of data from Danish statistics, DTU, travel reports, 3 insights for telecom data, By og Havn as well, from Copenhagen here. And just a list of a few of the accessible data that we had. The movement data, which is based on telecom mast catchments, basically pinging your phones and giving information on where you are. Income, education levels, property information, all this kind of stuff is available. And it's important here to mention that the top one was kind of the pivot point for what we kind of looked into, because we thought this is more like a dynamics data set that you can see over time how people move around in special zones, where the rest is kind of more static data sets. Yeah, and then the idea here was to kind of looking into those data sets and then start to make up the dots, connect, find the patterns between the data sets. So, for example, looking at age groups or gender or something like this, and then let's say with that in mind, starting to make the linked data, so to say. Yeah, and then. The second step was to take all this data and start to begin to grasp how can we process this. So you can imagine what we had here. The example we were given was from Ørestad here in Copenhagen, and we essentially had a lot of data populated in an entire area. So it's a large area of the city, basically, and we started, let's say manipulating or adjusting, making assumptions of the data. So we actually wanted to consider a future where we can have a more, let's say, higher resolution of the data related to positions of people related to the cell phone activity. So we started making these assumptions, and then in the end trying to look at the city area, finding certain area types, and then mapping that together with the position areas, and then we can start to make a connection. Yeah, so then I'll hand it over to kind of explain a bit about the proposed solution that we then ended up having.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so it's basically just parsing that data and grouping it into different zones inside of the, what's it called, Ørsta? Yeah, and we got 2 zones, but we figured it was easier to just do it with one of them and then split that into 18 different zones. So what we see now is just a demo of how this can be visualized. So what we do here is a 24-hour simulation of human movement. So the green areas are where people are. Is it playing?
It's running.
Yeah. And then throughout the day, you can see that, yeah, the red areas is where people are. And throughout the day, you can see that people wake up, move over to this part where this small one, where they're apparently at now, because we had to fake this. So we didn't know which one we chose. So then in the end of the day, they go back to their apartment, fall asleep. And now you can also filter by age, and you can see that different incomes. So that would be nice. And then we imagine a future where you can combine this data with different analysis tools that can be provided, such as microclimate analysis and then sun analysis, yeah, whatever. That's basically it, I guess. Do we have more?
Yeah, so what's next for this tool? We see this to be combined with a lot more data than we have already, for example, credit card transactions or transportation data. We also see it perhaps combined with some of the other group suggestions with biodiversity especially. We've thought about that. And also to incorporate large language models perhaps for an easy interaction with it, if you want to compare different parts of the city or something like that. And then also just to mention that the tool is only as good as the input you feed it. So yeah, you of course need to be really aware of what data you provided. There. Anything else? Okay. And this is the team, and we are luckily all still here.
I think the tool really makes sense, and it will be very usable to be able to make a quick analysis and play with the different parameters. I'm a bit worried if you can get data enough, because you need it basically on a personal level. But apart from that, I think it's a very valuable tool to see where people gather and how they move, and then design your cities so they're connected to people. Yeah. No question.
No. Good presentation. Interesting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.